to Rockinboxes Presents, and how you doing, guys? Rockinboxes Presents welcomes a fabulous person. She is amazing, and growing up as a child, or even an adult, young adult, pardon me, child, a young adult watching Friday the 13th, Part 5, amazing. Everybody, she's a great person. Welcome, Tiffany Helm, this week on Rockinboxes Presents. Welcome, Tiffany. How are you?
Hey, I'm awesome.
Oh, that's great. I love the enthusiasm. She's fired up, and guys, I am so excited to have her on. You know, we just recently had Deborah Voorhees, one of her cast members from Friday the 13th, Part 5 as well. And so, you know what? I'm going to get right into it. Let's talk about Friday the 13th a little. Well, I got a bunch of Friday the 13th questions for you, but did you go to the premiere? That was my first question. The reason is because you know, I asked a lot of the celebs if they went to their own premiere. So did you go?
Well, we went to you mean opening night in the theaters? Which is different than a premiere. Premiere is usually when they invite guests and it's just the cast and crew. So correct. Yes,
opening night.
I don't think there actually was a premiere for it. But my best friend at the time, she and I went to opening night, and we were under the influence of something. I will not share what, but we thought that it would enhance the evening, and went to the show. And in that first scene when Jason rises up out of the grave, everybody in the audience, like, it was like a standing ovation for Jason, and people like, woo, yeah. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of weird. Isn't he the bad guy? So yes, we went. It was awesome.
And so what were your final thoughts when you watched the full movie? Or did you, I mean, when you're on set, let's say, you don't get to see the final product, obviously. So what was your thoughts of the whole, when they put it on?
Well, I knew that it was, I mean, it's low budget, and I think it was lower budget than some of the other ones. The fact that they didn't tell us what the movie was, you know, when they were first shopping the script out to talent. And you know, some of the special effects seem a little bit hokey to me. I mean, now everything from the 80s and 90s looks hokey compared to what they're putting out now. But yeah, it seemed a little bit hokey to me. Just my personal opinion.
So in your death scene, you know, so you get the direction from Danny Steinman. I want to know, did you know how to turn around? Did you have an earpiece in your ear that they didn't show on camera? You know, when did you behind you, I guess, and did he stamp his foot? How did you know he was behind you?
No, and I mean, it was a long time ago, so it's very difficult for me to remember like the details of the shooting that scene, but I believe it was just a count in my head when to turn around. And of course, you know, there's the editors, so he doesn't even necessarily have to be there, right? The editors can, you know, have me dancing and have, you know, do another cut camera on him, because, you know, obviously it's one camera that's in there. So they're going to do a shot of me, you know, and then they're going to do, they'll do the master shot of me and all the close-ups and such, and then they're going to go to him. Right. So him coming in, that's a whole separate scene. So I believe it was just a count to me of like, you know, do a count to 10 and then turn around or something. There might have been a slight noise cue, but probably mostly counting. I'm guessing. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I could be totally wrong, but that's my best memory.
Now talk about the dancing. So wow, it was for me, it was like, okay, that was what it used to be like in the 80s, like that kind of dance, you know, the robotic style. What was were you a dancer? Did you practice for it? Did you, you know? train to do it? Were you always into it? Did you go to the clubs and dance to that? I don't know. Tell everybody.
Got me on Dancing with the Stars doing that, don't you think? That would be fun, right?
Sure.
No, they were, yeah, they originally, when, and I don't know if this is part of the questioning, that that was not the original scene that was going to be shot. That's not how I was originally going to be killed. But when they decided to make it that I was dancing, actually that particular dance, while the robot was something that was going on at a slightly different time frame, that dance that I did was pretty specific to some alternative clubs that I was going to. And that's what we did. And what I saw at regular clubs, like how just regular white people danced, that's what I tried to do in the beginning of, and if you watch the beginning of the scene, I'm kind of doing that. I'm doing this weird kind of rocking, swaying thing. And it felt very unnatural for me because that's not how I danced. And I don't even know how it came about, but I volunteered that dance. And I think I was even hesitant about doing it because it's kind of a bizarre dance. I mean, I was very popular at the clubs doing it. Like there are podiums and stuff. And there were certain songs I'd get up and do my freaking weird thing. And people would like look up and go, wow, that's really cool. But presenting it to a mainstream director who didn't know it, I think I was a little nervous, but they loved it. They loved it. And I looked a lot more natural doing that dance than the weird white girl swaying back and forth thing. So we went with that. And I think that was something to say for Danny too. He was all about making his actors comfortable. And clearly I was much more comfortable. And clearly I was much more comfortable doing that dance than the weird, rock and swaying thing. So,
or the Carlton.
Right, exactly. Or Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld, right, with the thumbs.
Yeah. So someone says here, Violet, you set too many places. Oh my gosh. You want to hit the line?
Hit the line? What? I said I was sorry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so for that on set, how many takes did it take to actually do your scene to get killed?
To get killed?
Yeah.
Let me again go back into my very shady memory here.
Okay.
I believe it was an overtime night with them changing the scene. So it was a late night. I don't think we took too long on it. And then again, the actual kill is a pillow with a tank top, right? And obviously that's not my belly. So I don't think there were that many takes on it. It was, we got it pretty quickly, if I recall. I don't mess around. I'm a professional. We're going to get it right in just a few takes.
Yeah. Cause I was just going to say, when Tom puts his hand around your neck, and raises you, that's what I meant about how many take, like, did he get it right? Was it comfortable? What was it like? What was the feeling?
I mean, it was a little teeter-totter, So, I look at it now and I think with I watch some of the shows now that are so graphic and real. Like, I think if I could have redone that, I think I could have done like a really, really amazing job on it. Because again, what's your frame of reference? How often have you been choked and then stabbed in the stomach? So as an actor, like, what does that feel like? So he's not gonna really hurt me, but you need some tension there so you can kind of feel what that's like. So, yeah, I don't know. That I think just was a couple of takes. And I think maybe that would have been nice to see on camera, like what it looked like. I think I probably could have done a better job, but I guess that's typical actor looking at their film going, yeah, I could have done better. Always. But for last minute put together, I think we did pretty well.
There, the scene with you guys, and you're out doing the laundry and hanging it, and Joey comes up and he puts, you know what? As a young man, I'm looking at this, and the way Joey wrecked it with his chocolatey
with his
hand,
chocolatey fingers.
chocolatey fingers. So we move on to where he goes to try and help out Vic to chop wood. He says, "I can chop wood." Da 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 da. You guys were on set. You were obviously on set for that, or was that a split? Or you guys, because I've been on sets where they've actually just shot a scene and just clipped it in. So were you guys all together at that moment?
That's a good question. I probably should have watched it again before I did this interview with you. I mean, I've seen it a ton of times, but I mean, only you can tell me. Well, were we in the background when he comes up with the chopping of the wood? Could you see us in the background? I mean, I think that it was, again, you got your master shot and probably all the little shots that they get in between. But I think we might have been in the background while he comes up and has his whole wood chopping thing. So it may have been one long shot, and then they break it up into smaller ones so they can get the details, I think.
Right. No, that's
Movie
great.
101 with Tiffany Helm. Yes.
That's fantastic. No, so the morning after, obviously, we just went through it. You said too many places. I know. I'm sorry. Da 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 da. You're listening to "Rock Me Amadeus" in the earphones. Now, was that a clip that was added in again? Was that something, or were you actually listening to Falco's "Rock Me Amadeus"?
I wouldn't listen to Rock Me Amadeus. There's no way. No way. Didn't like it then. Don't want it now. No, there's no music. I mean, the sound guy, you couldn't have that. So everything else is put in later. So I'm just listening and get your internal music going and try and rock out to that. So no, I don't even think I knew what they were going to put in. I might have said, please no.
Your relationship with some of the cast members over the years, have you kept in touch with a lot of them? Obviously, you guys do Comic Cons, horror cons, all that kind of thing. So have you kept in touch with a lot of them? Tom Morga, Shabar Ross, Melanie Kinnaman, of course, Deborah Voorhees.
Well, not really. I was Juliet and I were very close for the shooting, and I mean, we had gone to school together too. So we hung out for a couple years after we were done with the film as well. And I've talked with her a few times over the years, but we never really reestablished that connection. It's hard when you grow up and have a family and you go different ways. So you lose a lot of those friendships, not bad or good. It's just kind of the way it goes. And then as far as everybody else, I mean, I've worked with Melanie on the horror cons, and last year in Chicago, there was Melanie and Tom were there. It was great. I hadn't seen Tom in years. Melanie, I've seen a few times. Shavar, I haven't worked with yet. So hopefully I get some horror cons coming up in the next year. Nothing's definite yet, but we're working on some stuff, and hopefully we can get reunited with some of the cast members, because it's really fun to hang out with them and reminisce. And Deborah, I haven't talked to since we shot. So no, not really.
Yeah. No, that's great. Because like I mentioned, a lot of you guys see each other at the Comic Cons, horror cons, and no, that's amazing. Thank you. Put that all in one. Sure. That's great. So moving along, your parents were both actors, and so I just wanted to know, was that something, being in that realm, were you pursuing a career? Was it, some children, they don't want to, they have all kinds of different ideas when they're growing up as adults, and then they go to college and they're, my parents are actors. But was that something, that, you wanted to do?
Sorry, I had to close out some windows that started popping up while I was talking to you.
Oh, no problem. I'll re-ask. So
bling, 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 bling. Yeah, my mom and dad and my aunt, all actors. And I really didn't want to get into acting much. I mean, I loved it in high school, and I went to a school that had a really strong drama department that produced a lot of exceptional actors. But I didn't really want to get stuck into the acting thing, because I knew that, I mean, the work's great if you can get it, but it is so competitive.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to be like my age. And although I am going back out on auditions, but that's another story. But I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, it's down for that popcorn commercial, like be 70 years old and have everything hung up on a popcorn commercial. And of course I know a different reality now, and it's not like that anyway, because you do different things. But I had gotten into modeling because I knew that that's a very short-lived career. Like you're just in it for a few years and you're going to go, you know, oh, 25, you are done. You're old and done. So, but the thing is that I starting modeling, and I had a different look, and this was, you know, obviously way before Friday the 13th. So I was a very different body type and stuff. And if you see some of my earlier work, you'll see a little bit more of a modelly type, you know, just like blonde hair and skinny and whatever. So, but what happened was my agency started sending me out on commercial auditions, and I started booking. And the commercial agency, who doesn't normally deal with theatrical stuff, started sending me out on theatrical stuff. And I started booking. So it kind of just, it snowballed, right? And one of my earlier experiences on a film set was with Robert Altman, where I got to shoot, you know, in Arizona for a long time with him. And working with somebody like Altman will get you hooked on the whole thing. Like, he was an amazing director. So I got sucked into it. Like I said, I mean, if you can get the work, it's the best job in the world.
Yeah, that's really good that you said that, because someone asked if you would either do film. Would you prefer to do film or television? Now, and I also have a little follow-up with that, because your mom was also in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, yep. But she was also in Freddy's Nightmares. I had to check my notes here, because Heartbreak Hotel, I remember that really well, and that was a TV series. So would you have preferred to have was film always your, I mean, I guess it didn't matter for you, did it? Whatever work you got, especially if you were working with Mr. Altman?
Well, I mean, you know, and any actor, it's very different now because of the quality of television shows that are just, you know, these shows that you binge watch and stuff. The production values and the acting and the writing is absolutely impeccable. But back then, you know, TV was considered a little bit more lowbrow. And when you saw like a big name actor do a series, you're like, oh yeah, they must have like a big mortgage to pay on their third mansion or something. That's why they're doing television. So most actors are like, yes, film, I'm a film actor, and then I want to direct and blah, blah, blah. I never wanted to direct, but film is awesome. I had a great time on the TV shows I did too. And if you land a recurring role on a series, I mean, you're set for a long time. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on the television show. I did a sitcom. You know, I've done a lot of different stuff. I worked on soap operas again, and, you know, in Freddy's Nightmares. My experiences, I would say 98% of my acting experience, professional acting experience, have been super positive. And I love it. It's a great job. And if you can get a really good role, like the roles that are out there for women now are amazing, right? There weren't too many of those back then. And now you've got these powerhouse roles. So how great to be a working actress today.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. And, you know, there's so many actors from the days way back when, the Friday the 13th and the Halloweens and whatnot, have all these great projects coming out. I apologize, by the way, I made a mistake. I said your mom was in Freddy's Nightmare. You were in the Heartbreak. Yeah. The Heartbreak Hotel, yeah. But, you know, what's really funny I'm sorry.
She was in the two movies in Nightmare on Elm Street. She was in the two films. I did one episode of the series. Yeah.
Right. So were you ever asked to come, or were you approached at all to be in any of the Nightmare films at all?
No, I never went in for any of them, I don't think. And I mean, I think at the time too, I was a very specific look, right? My agent was not really happy about that. He preferred when I was really skinny and blonde and more employable. Like there's more roles written for that if you just don't have a specific look. And I was dyeing my hair different colors all the time. And, I put on some weight, and he just wasn't that happy about it. But I don't think I didn't even go in for a reading for any of the nightmares. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Onward.
As Jim Carrey would say. Anyway, speaking of movies, so someone's asking here, how do you feel about and you and I spoke off camera about this. How do you feel about the horror movies nowadays, like Saw or Hostel or any of those crazy movies?
Well, I saw the first Saw. I loved, and I'm a photographer, and originally, I mean, I do a lot of family photography and stuff like that, but I also do conceptual photography, and my earlier stuff was really, really dark. And after seeing Saw, I was so inspired that movie. I was having a friend of mine who's a welder. I wanted a mask welded up. I was going to do a Saw inspired photo session. It never came to fruition just because other stuff happened. But yeah, the first one I really, really loved. And again, like I watched the second one and it was just like too much. It was too much for me, but I mean, it's like 7, love. Again, it's a pretty grim movie. There's some pretty graphic violence in it. But again, the tension, the character building, it's a very exciting story and plot. To me, that's much more interesting than just, going and killing a bunch of whatevers. The Ring, loved the first Ring. Loved it. Again, not a whole bunch of graphic stuff. I've tried watching the Paranormal, and I'm just, all those, what are they? The Paranormal Activity?
Paranormal Activity, yep.
Yeah, I can't do it. I keep waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like waiting for that jump scare or something. I'm like, okay, next. But yeah, I think the horror movies now, I don't watch a whole lot of the really graphic violence ones. I mean, I don't mind violence, but if it's just like, hey, how many different ways can we kill somebody? You and I were talking, watching all the Criminal Minds and stuff. And the one where I was just like, oh, come on, was the one where there was the guy who was making people into puppets. I was like, and then there was the one of the guy like sewing different parts onto people, like mix and match body parts. And I was like, okay, this is getting a little over the top here. So stuff like that, I don't care much for, but I like more of like the thriller and psychological horror. That to me is interesting. So I don't even know if that answers the question, but that's the best I can do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think, you answered Valerie's question perfect. That was great. So someone's asking here, did you go to college after high school, that prepare, what did you do, or did it prepare to be an actress, did it just come naturally?
I again being in a family of actors kind of set that ball in motion. And again, my drama department, the high school I went to, very, very strong, not like your regular high school drama department. And lots of well-known actors came out of it. And that was really my schooling. I have done formal workshops and such to kind of stay tuned up on the craft, but I didn't actually go to school of acting, right? I've had coaching, and my mom did coaching for a long time too, and she would often help me on auditions that I was struggling with. But no, not, and I mean, I've done some college and university, but it wasn't for acting. So.
All right. So now you're a photographer, and
I
you're
am
also
a photographer.
an avid rock climber.
I am an avid rock climber. Freaking love it. It was actually I had a frozen shoulder for many, many years and started doing yoga for it and got it about 80% better. And for, what was it, my 51st birthday, 51st? Yeah. I signed up for a class to do rock climbing, to learn how to climb. And I've been hooked on it ever since. And I love it. I'm going out tomorrow. It's my 10th time out this summer because I do a lot of indoor gym climbing, but I've been outside. This will be my 10th time. And it's so much fun. It's really, and I never thought it would be a thing of mine. I look at that sport a few years ago. I'm like, that's really for crazy people. But now I guess I'm a crazy person.
So have you, this is your 10th time. So obviously you're doing it in and around your area. Yeah.
Yeah. I live in the Canadian Rockies. So there's all kinds of great climbing around here. So that's what I'm doing.
Is there one on your bucket list you want to do?
No, actually, I finished up a big class, and for my final climb, they were going to have me do this really wicked, well-known mountain that's here. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm ready for that mountain. You just I look at it and my heart starts going. So we did a friendlier mountain, one that I liked a little more. But no, I go out, and there's some places where, 20 minutes from my house and I'm on the rock, right? So we're really in a good location, or you can drive a couple hours out and get into some really, really interesting terrain. So.
Awesome. Oh man, you that's pretty exhilarating actually, because my dream is to go skydiving.
Oh, I've done that too. You should do it. Everybody should try that just once. It's when you touch ground after skydiving, it's the most empowering feeling. Like really, you literally feel like you can do anything, like all those things that you have wanted to do and you were like, I can't because of this, because of that. You will be like, I'm going to do those things. I'm going to write that script. I'm going to, go to Tibet. I'm going to whatever it is you want to do. And I only did it once. I don't know if I would ever do it again, but it's really, and my word of advice, if you do it, go first.
Okay.
Yeah. My friend and I don't even know how she talked me into doing it. I was like, again, that's for freaking crazy people, but she talked me into doing it. And we went up in this plane and I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but I'm going to go first. And it's tandem jumping. Obviously you're not going to go out by yourself on your first one. So, you're strapped to this other person. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going out first. And so I went out first. And when we were on the ground, she said to me, she's like, now I know why you said to go first. Because if you're second, you're watching your friend like, whoa, they're out there. And you're like, oh crap, I can't do this. But if you're first, you're just like, whoop, you go. And you got this person attached to you who knows what they're doing, hopefully. You go with somebody who's experienced and you're going to control it and you're fine. You got this. And it's a pretty crazy thing to do, but it's fun. So I highly recommend that you go out and do it.
That's amazing. After my heart attack, I know I told you this offline that I went and did the Zipline here in Niagara Falls, and everybody was like, are you crazy? And I said, no, the doctor gave me clearance. I can do it. And, when you're on the thing, you just put your arms out. And a friend of mine who's joining in this evening, I have a lot of friends online right now watching us, and her name's Sandy. She says going skydiving is definitely on her bucket list because she's a roller coaster enthusiast. She actually belongs to a roller coaster club, the Roller Coaster Club of America. So yeah, it's on her bucket list, and I definitely, that's great advice. So go first.
Yeah, go first. And now this has been broadcast, so hopefully nobody, the person you're going with, hasn't seen this and doesn't know the secret, because they'll be like, my friend was like, man, Tiff, you are badass. You want to go first? That is so, you are tough. I'm like, yeah, just wait. Because I knew when we were on the ground, she'd be like, bitch, you went first, man. Left me up there. I'm like, yep, exactly.
So talk about your photography. So you already said that you do, you know, filming, photographing families and whatnot. What else, you know, landscapes, no, or anything? What's your full, and what's your business?
My business, you can find me at rascalphotoanddesign.com, and I have a Facebook page too. I see that some people, it looks like they're coming onto my old page, which was Spectrum Photography, but I am Rascal Photo and Design now. So anybody wants to come on there and cruise around, give the page a like, talk to me, whatever. I love doing conceptual photography, and like kids, animals, and artists are my absolute favorite subjects. And somehow, I mean, I got into photography because when I moved to Seattle, there just wasn't a whole lot of work there for acting work. I mean, I did a few jobs there, but just nothing was happening. It's a pretty provincial town. The film commission doesn't realize the money that can be made when crews come into town. And plus a lot of their work goes to Vancouver, where it's a lot cheaper to shoot. And it looks like Seattle, so why not? So anyway, I started shooting, and again, in the beginning, my stuff was much darker, and like I love the conceptual stuff, but it just kind of morphed, and I also do a lot of boudoir sessions, yeah, which are great for women. I recommend that every woman does a boudoir photography session. Again, very empowering. And I got into family photography. Again, I never thought, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to deal with photographing babies and stuff. And I actually really just love it. Like I allow the kids to just be themselves, and it's able to, you don't pose children, right? You let them be themselves. And it's same with animals, right? It's like you just allow them to be, and they'll reveal themselves to you, and you can get these great portraits. So I'm a portrait photographer, and yep, that's what I do. Though I do have an agent now, and I'm also going out on some auditions. So maybe you'll see me on the screen somewhere.
Whoa, that's amazing. Can you say anything or no?
Can I what?
Can you say what you're going on? No.
No, I don't want to jinx anything, but
yeah,
okay. I mean, there's not a whole lot of work out here. Again, most of the work is, you know, where you're at, and Vancouver, and yeah, we get a lot of like Westerns and period pieces and stuff out here. So there isn't a whole lot, but we'll see. I mean, there's not, because usually like as when an American crew comes out here, they need to hire a certain amount of Canadian actors, and I'm a dual citizen. So I'm like, okay, that could kind of work for me. So I don't expect to land like any major roles, because usually the crews that are coming up here, unless it's a Canadian production company, which that would be great. But usually they do most of the principal casting in the States, and then they come up here and get locals, right? So just to come in for a few days or such. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. Just to do like the greatest work in the world, right? Why not? It's fun. And it's just
trying to get the exclusive out of you. Sorry.
Well, you know what? I will let you know. If something breaks, I will let you know.
Yay. All right.
Among the top, the first 5 to know. How's that?
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. I'm honored. That's amazing. One other question. Let me see. Did anybody say, okay, so they want to know where are you residing at the moment? I think maybe this is a question, someone coming in late. Where are you now?
I'm not going to give away those details.
There you go. You see?
I mean, it's
no, if somebody for you either.
If somebody really wants to find me, they can find me. And as a matter of fact, my ex-husband's wife just contacted me the other day, and she's got a bunch of mail for me. So For anybody out there, I'm not in Seattle anymore. I no longer am in Seattle. So don't send mail to Seattle and not to my ex-husband's address. Not there.
That's cool. You're wearing a Soundgarden.
Yes,
your music. Sorry. Yeah. So you're one of those grunge girls.
Well, I'm a, you know, a music junkie, and I'm still mourning the loss of Chris Cornell. And actually, we're planning a trip to Seattle next month, and I plan on visiting the Soundgarden, as I often did in the past, and paying tribute. And so where I'm residing, I'll just say I'm in the Canadian Rockies. And again, if somebody really wants to find me, they can, but I don't just give out the information. I have had an issue with somebody that I needed to go to court about, so they would stop harassing me. So I am public, but I'm also not public. So there you go.
That's right. She's not Joe Public anymore. She's public, but she's not.
Yeah, it's like because I'm told, like, you got to be public. You're in the entertainment industry. I'm like, okay, I'll be public. And then I'm like, oh, but I don't really want to give out my information.
Yeah, so, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is it. I'm going to ask any appearances coming up for you, Comic-Cons, Horror Cons. This person says, yeah, crazy fans out there. Yes, of course. And she also said, yeah, have you had any stalkers? You answered that well. So yeah, what's coming up? Appearances.
And I don't know. My agent has mentioned a couple of shows that she, so I am going to, well, hopefully. And I'm just transitioning with representation and such. So we will see. There's nothing going on exactly right now. And for anybody that's been wanting a signed picture, thank you for your patience. Like I had a deal from my fan page where for a $25 donation to an animal advocacy group, nice, I would send them a print. But the problem is, I mean, we made some great money for some great animal groups, but it's a lot of out-of-pocket cost for me with the pictures and the mailings and such like that. So I was trying to find something that was going to work better, where we could benefit animal groups, and I wouldn't be paying out of pocket for it. So I am working on something, and there is a group that I'm trying to work with. So anybody that's been wanting a picture, hang tight, you'll get your picture. I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet. And I know I've been saying this for like a year, but I haven't forgotten about you. I have people writing and they want, and it's again, I don't want to give out my public address. So people who are like, can I send you stuff? I'm like, no, but if I get to a horror con, I will make that very public, and you can, you know, hopefully it's in your area, or you can give it to somebody who can get it to me to sign, and I'd be happy to do that.
Your websites, your Facebooks, where they can find you. I know you've already said it. Maybe if you could just repeat it one more time. Tell everybody your photography one more time, and yeah.
Okay, so
and we'll take a couple more words and we're done.
Fan information on Facebook is Tiffany Helm fan page. I have my photography page at rascalphotoanddesign.com. There's also a Facebook page for it. And if you are one of those people who tries to friend me personally on Facebook, I put, here's my statement, and I should actually just read from a card. Let me try and say this. I don't take everybody's friend requests for this reason. I am vegan and very, very passionate about it. I'm also the left side of liberal progressive. I am political. I make political posts. I talk about veganism a lot. So if I see anything on my page that talks about harming animals, or is racist or sexist or homophobic or Islamophobic, I'm like, I know everybody's entitled to their opinions and their beliefs, but I don't want to see it on my page. So please don't take it personally. But I don't take everybody's friend requests. So that's it. And if you really want to be my friend, if you found me and you got my name and you're on there, you can send me a personal note, because I've had a few people do that, and I'm fine with you being on there, but those are my things. And I've had some people who post stuff that is offensive to me And I'm like, I'm going to block you or get rid of you. So I'd rather let's just all be friends. So if you have different beliefs and you don't want to see that stuff, just talk to me on my fan page, and that's cool, because I don't bring any of the politics or veganism or anything except for the animal advocacy stuff that I do on my fan page. So there's my spiel. How's that?
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Amazing. Very well said. So I would like to thank my guest this week, Tiffany Helm. Thank you. I am so gracious for your time, and I appreciate you coming on with me. We've spoken off air, and you are such a wonderful and a delightful person. You've got your mother's way. She's great. Brooke Bundy, by the way, is her mom. She was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
And Star Trek.
Sorry?
Star Trek and
Star Trek.
Angels and like Brady Bunch and
yeah, she's done. Oh yeah, she's done some really great stuff. And while she was here in Niagara Falls, she said, "I'm definitely gonna get you in touch with my daughter." And when I posted on your wall, "I'm so glad you gave me shit for saying, Sean, this is my page. Don't post that stuff. Delete it." I was like, "Hey, perfect. Yay. I'm good. At least I got your attention." And look, we had a great interview.
You're right. Whatever works, right? You
Absolutely.
are a journalist.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So thanks, everybody. Like I say at the end of my videos, you guys be good to one another, be good to the environment, be good to animals, be good to everybody, and love one another, guys. Thank you. Thank you again, Tiffany.
All right. Thanks, Sean, so much for having me.